What does it feel like to fight someone?
We line up at the opening face-off. I look over to him like, hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that to Kuzi? He's like, that's my bad. I shouldn't have done that. I was like, all right, well, we got to fight now. And literally we were talking about it. And he's like, let the face-off go for like 5 seconds, then we'll meet back here. And I was like, all right.
I love how cordial it is, though, the setting up to the fight. Like, hey, man, how you doing? You want to go?
He was so much more. I was like shaking.
I was going to say.
And he was like, oh, really? You sure? And I was like, I'm like, yeah.
I think the baseball fights are the dumbest thing of all time. I've always said we should just do what you guys do. And if someone hits them, you have to look out of the pitcher and be like, hey, you want to go?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim. Episode 4. We are cruising now, Ryan.
Yeah, it's like a real job. We're here a lot, working together, spending more time with you than I want, but it's going okay.
I get that from a lot of people. Don't worry about it. How was the Masters? Our last episode with SVP, we talked a lot about Augusta, and you were saying that you were going down with your wife Heather and your dad, and you were going to get to experience some of the practice rounds. Tell us about that.
It was amazing. I'd been there before.
Yep.
My dad and Heather had not been there, and first of all, I think Heather was excited that it actually was here because then I could stop talking about it every single day to someone who doesn't golf or really.
Enough already.
Yeah, basically she told me to stop talking about it. But we had a blast. My dad was obviously, on cloud nine. One of the coolest things to do, and be able to do it with him was really fun. And Heather had a blast too. I mean, she bought 2 great new outfits to walk around in.
Most importantly,
two really good golf outfits.
Right.
But yeah, we actually met up with SVP there one day. He took us into the Butler cabin where they do basically all the magic. So he was gracious enough to give us a cool behind the scenes tour. But yeah, the place is magical. Even if you don't play golf, don't have any interest in golf, I would highly recommend going. But yeah, really cool, really special to do with Heather, but really special to do with my dad.
You get recognized around the D.C. area quite a bit.
Yep.
Do you get recognized when you're away from the D.C. area and you're in a place like Augusta?
A little bit there. There's sports fans, so they're kind of aware. There's a lot of D.C. people there. You see some people, you run into some people you know. Ran into Josh Allen and Sam Darnold for a little bit, so
Nice.
that was pretty cool. 2 good guys. Josh Allen's just a big dumb animal. But I mean, you talk about sitting there chatting with the MVP of the NFL.
Yep.
He loves golf, and he was actually playing it on Monday.
That's awesome.
After. So just an awesome experience for everyone. We had great weather. We went Tuesday, Wednesday. So got to see like the par 3 thing Wednesday morning where everyone brings their kids.
Yep.
And so pretty special.
I'm glad one half of this podcast crew got to experience that once in a lifetime opportunity.
Maybe next year, Dan. Maybe next year.
Probably not.
Just sign up for the lottery. Maybe.
All right, let's get into it. We've got a really fun episode coming at you over the course of the next hour plus. We'll welcome in Nicklas Bäckström and TJ Oshie of the Washington Capitals and have a lot of fun with them. But first, Ryan, what do you got? What do you got this week?
I got playoffs. Not baseball playoffs.
Not yet.
But NHL, I'd say NBA playoffs too. I'm not a huge NBA fan. I enjoy the NBA. I think they're talented and I love it. But NHL is maybe, I think I've made this pretty clear, is one of my favorite sports, if not my favorite sport to watch in person.
Yep.
Not even close. So I love the NHL playoffs. I love the way they play. They fight more. They crash. It's crazy. It's fun to watch. If you haven't been to a Caps playoff game, I highly advise it, about as much as I highly advise the Masters. The atmosphere over there is unbelievable, but I hope they do a nice long run like they did in 18. And you watch them play in the playoffs, and it reminds me of how much fun it was to be in the playoffs in baseball. And I think this team is very young. Starting pitching's been great. Some of the position players are starting to come around. I'm not saying we are or we aren't going to make the playoffs this year, but I just hope sometime soon that these guys get to, experience and see what it's like to play meaningful, deep playoff baseball. And there's nothing like it. And watching playoff hockey the other night reminded me of how cool that was. And obviously the failures in the first round, and then to finally make that run where we went all the way, just each round gets a little bit more intense. Each round, the media, there's a little bit more. And then finally, obviously, the World Series is the biggest stage in the world. So, hopefully these guys can continue to develop and mature and experience that type of baseball sooner rather than later. So playoffs for me, go Caps.
And it was cool to see a few of our guys make it over there for the first playoff game 1 against the Canadiens. Mackenzie Gore was there. Jake Irvin was there. Irvin, a big-time hockey guy. And they were sitting on the glass, and there was a hit right in front of them early in the first period. And Irvin's a big hockey guy. Mackenzie, not really as much. But Jake told me that hit right in front of them at the glass, that Mac looked at him and was like, oh, okay, this I like this.
Can we talk about how they were staying in the same hotel in Pittsburgh? And Jake literally walked by Ovi.
Yeah. He was too shell-shocked to introduce himself or say hi or anything.
Didn't even go up and say hi. You play in the show.
Yeah.
In the same city. Just go up and be like, hey, man, I play for the Nats. Been a fan my whole life. You're the best. He's like, I completely just panicked, froze, and then walked away.
Yeah.
I love it. What a guy.
It's cool for those guys to get to experience exactly what you're talking about, a playoff atmosphere. I've been to a number of Caps playoff games, and as someone that grew up in the D.C. area, it's awesome for me to get to experience that in a Stanley Cup game in person. It's amazing. And now for our guys that have not experienced the playoffs on the baseball side, to get to experience the playoffs on the hockey side as a fan is pretty cool too. Love it. Love it.
It's good. Special feeling.
Yep.
So what do you got?
I got something on the national side of things. I got James Wood, and not the statistics, not the start that he's off to through the first month of the season, but I got the league starting to notice James Wood, the way that we have noticed James Wood from the first day that he showed up here in a Nationals uniform. The home run that he hit in Miami a little bit ago, just that absolute laser out to left center that got, I think, 61 feet at its peak off the ground. You listen back to the Miami broadcast of that home run, and their play-by-play guy doesn't say a word while the ball is in flight, and then he just says, wow. People are starting to notice what James Wood can do. Yeah. And it's cool, traveling with the team and having relationships with other organizations around the league. And people come up to you and they're like, so this James Wood kid, huh? And we're just like, yeah, he's that good.
Well, I think the scary thing is he's just
getting started.
Just learning.
Yeah.
And it's like, that nice little Tiger Woods Stinger 3-iron out the other way. And I think, I think it was on a 3-0 pitch, which, first of all, is so great that he's swinging 3-0. As a young guy, I didn't know how to swing 3-0. We were taught to take 3-0, work the count. But now 3-0 is maybe one of the only fastballs you're going to get. So for him to show that maturity, 3-0, not try and do too much and pull it, stay in left center where he's, where his strengths are, and then to hit a ball 60 feet off the ground like that, it's just fun to watch. And I think a lot of people don't know because he's so quiet. He doesn't put himself out there, which I'm a huge fan of.
That's your style.
That's my style. I don't know if the team might not be such a huge fan of it because they want, if you're going to be a superstar, let's be a superstar.
Right.
But I respect that. I think he comes, he works, keeps his head down. It's off to a really good start. I mean, it's going to be fun to watch him have a whole year in the big leagues.
You used to be a quiet superstar, and now you're everywhere.
Look at me now. I'm podcast with a superstar broadcaster who's going to go to the Masters next year.
Paying my own way. Good stuff. All right, let's cut this short. Enough of us babbling because we want to get to the good stuff. When we come back on the 11th Inning Podcast, we'll welcome in 2 DC sports legends to sit down with one more who's sitting to my left. Ryan Zimmerman and I will bring in Nicklas Bäckström and TJ Oshie. Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast. Dan Kolko with 3 DC sports legends, Ryan Zimmerman, TJ Oshie, and Nicklas Bäckström. And Nick and TJ, kind enough to join us here. Boys, welcome to the podcast, and thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Our pleasure. Ryan?
Yeah, it's a fun one for me. I've had some of my buddies on, but gotten to know these 2 guys pretty well. And obviously the fans from the Nats know them really well. And, just like me, played a long time in this city and now stay in this city, raise their kids here. So this will be a fun one. A lot of good questions. could have some good stories come out of this one. So I'm looking forward to it.
Let's start with this. You guys are good friends now because your kids are kind of around the same ages. You interact a lot in the community. But when did you guys all get to know each other? When did, Nick, you were here kind of the early days of the two of you becoming professional athletes in DC, and then TJ a little bit later.
Yeah, I think we met out sort of hanging out, same friends. I mean, everyone thinks DC's this big city. It's really not a very big city. Like everyone kind of runs in the same circles. A lot of the athletes, a lot of the same people go to the same bars and restaurants to hang out. So I think that's how we first got to know each other. It's back when Nicky's English wasn't as good as it is now.
Yeah, exactly.
It was still good, but he's really good now. But I just remember having fun, and me, him, Ovi, we all kind of came up at the same time, and then we're just here forever, and Ovi's still playing, which is wild. But we had a good time, and then as we got older, had families and kids and started playing golf together and doing some other things together. But I think that's what's so special about a lot of the sports in this town is we all kind of talk and hang out and do fun things. So our fun things are a little different, like Nick said, than they were when we first met. But I guess everyone has to grow up at some point.
TJ, what about you? What are your early memories of getting to know Ryan?
We had some special kind of moments back and forth when we had both won.
Yep.
Going to each other's games, each other's locker rooms, maybe for a different podcast, but they had a little bit more fun on the ice than after the game than maybe we had after the game here.
We can tell that story.
Okay, but no, I think the very first time I had actually realized that our oldest daughters were friends. I'm waiting at the bus stop, waiting for the kids to get off. My daughter doesn't get off the bus, and I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Like, I wish mom was in this situation instead of me. Like, I don't even know who to call. And so we ended up somehow finding out that she had been talking to Mackenzie and just ended up getting on the wrong bus and went out to Great Falls where Ryan lived before. So we found her, and I was like, oh, I didn't know you were friends with Zim's daughter. And then now we all live within, a couple houses of each other. So with a lot of kids, either the exact same or similar ages. And so a lot of back and forth with the neighborhood and play dates, and we got to play a lot of golf together. I know Nick had known him previously, but just for me personally, gotten really close with him over the last couple of years.
Big group parenting around here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to their house one day, our house the other day, gives us a break. And, we live close enough, honestly, where our kids ride bikes and scooters to each other's house, which, I mean, we live it's maybe a 5-minute bike ride to Nick's house. And then they can bike and then cut across the neighbor's lawn to TJ's house, which they very nicely let them run across their yard. Mm-hmm. But it's wild. I tell people this, and they're like, you let your kid ride their bike on a street by themselves?
In 2025.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah. They're like, well, what if they get hit by a car? I'm like, well, I mean, they're not going to get hit by a car, but they know to ride on the side. But, for them, they're like, it's cool for them to be able to go do their own stuff. And honestly, for us, we're like, yeah, just go get out of the house.
Go have fun.
Be
kids, yeah.
When you have as many kids as we do, we just you just kind of let them go.
Yeah.
It's Darwinism. I'm a big fan of Darwinism. I think we've taken too much out of our society. So, but yeah, I mean, all of our kids hang out. We play golf a bunch together. Our wives are all friends, so we do a lot of dinners, once every month or two to stay sane and get out of the house. So it's been fun getting to know these guys. But I think what TJ was saying, the back and forth when they won in 2018, then obviously we won in 19. But I think our team and organization paths were fairly similar. Mm-hmm. They couldn't really get past first round, Penguins, whatever you want to call it. We couldn't get past the first round. So I think a lot of the situations that we all went through were the same. Mm-hmm. And then to see them finally break through in 18, I think gave us it was so fun to see the city and how crazy they went. I'm not going to say it made us want to win more, because obviously you want to win every year. But and then watching them celebrate was, I think, made us want to win even more. And I think we're in the suite that you guys came here to celebrate.
That's right.
With.
Back in the Silver Slugger suite.
Here we go.
You guys were on about day whatever at that point.
We've been rolling for a couple days there.
What do you remember about, or how do I say this? What do you remember? How much do you remember of it? Or what was your favorite part? Or what are some of the coolest memories from like that week to 10 days that you guys remember?
I mean, the parade, and being on the mall there and seeing that many people was, I mean, it was honestly, it was kind of unbelievable. For me, kind of coming from Minnesota and then St. Louis, which is a good sports town, I guess I didn't really realize how many Caps fans there actually was. And for everyone to kind of bond over that one moment and come out and celebrate. And I mean, there's so many people and everyone was smiling. Everyone was happy. Everyone was, you almost got to forget about everything else in the world for a little bit and all celebrate together. Except for one fan that someone threw me it's hard to tell because the beer came up and it flew over my head, and my second daughter, who was then, I think she might have been 2 then, was sleeping on me, so I couldn't jump to grab it, and it flew over the bus and then and smacked someone else on the other side.
A fan?
Right? Oh yeah, full beer. It looked like a Busch Light, but I mean,
was it camo?
I'm not sure what it was. Oh man, it was a tough one. But other than maybe that one fan, it was just an amazing experience, and having everyone just literally that happy and excited and cheering and having fun.
Well, you guys won in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
What? I feel like
Talk
if I
about
would
a
have
city
won
to
a world
win.
championship in Las Vegas, I don't know if I would have made it out alive.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
Maybe
was actually-
Nick.
It's actually crazy.
Yeah,
thing, but
because your game was sort of early. It wasn't early, but
it was
earlier.
8 o'clock here.
So 5
right?
o'clock
So it was 5 o'clock there. So
there.
we were done by 9:30.
So what'd you guys do?
Yeah, take us
So-
through the itinerary.
Did you go somewhere in Vegas?
I mean,
Oh yeah.
They saw
I
T-
think
didn't you guys see Tiesto?
We spent at least 2 hours in the locker room.
Yeah.
We were dancing like champagne,
Yeah, getting
beers
little
everywhere.
pregame.
I mean, it's
Oh, yeah, it's-
flooded.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
flooded.
Yeah.
Like it's probably this
yeah.
height of booze on the floor. So
Yep.
it was fun. I think that was probably one of the things that you're like you realize afterwards, like, oh, that was a good time.
Do
That
you
was a
guys
great
do that
time.
after every round of the playoffs?
No.
No.
So we do it every round.
Yeah. Oh no.
Like the clubhouse people hate us because
Yeah.
I mean we just destroy. I always say it's the coolest thing ever. You can act like just a complete child and just destroy a beautiful clubhouse, and you just leave, and then it's the next day there's new carpet, and it's wild. So hockey only does it after you win.
Only one team does it.
It's
yeah.
very traditional.
Yeah.
That's very hockey. We're
Yeah.
we do it after every round.
They're humble.
So,
Yeah,
so
yeah, they're humble.
bringing back to the celebration that day when we were here at the Nats Park.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But we only had one plan for that day. That was like hanging out here.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like, okay, where are we going? Like, Georgetown Waterfront. And then it was like a spontaneous
So
thing.
the
right?
original plan was just go to the
Just
game
go
and
here.
then go home.
Yeah,
And that
and
was
then-
it.
and then that was
we
it.
would have figured something out, but
Right.
no, there wasn't.
I even think like Ovi walked from the waterfront because we ended up at Cafe Milano, right?
Right.
I think he walked from the waterfront with the cup on the street, and fans were just like
Yeah.
Going about their day.
walking
Yeah.
with them, like, yeah, right.
Yeah. So go back to Vegas. So you guys did the clubhouse. Did you guys go out in Vegas?
We went to Hakkasan after, and I think Tiesto was playing
Yep.
Yeah.
that night, and so we were behind the DJ booth.
Yeah.
I don't know who they had to kick out to let us in, but I appreciate them.
So that's crazy because we went to Tiesto
And went to Cafe Milano.
and went to Cafe Milano.
The similarities continue.
Yeah.
That was fun. Quick story about my night that night. So Heather was pregnant with Henry, their third child, I think.
Don't look to me, man.
This is bad if I mess this up. With
Yeah,
one of
that
our
would be right.
children.
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, TJ. You know my kids.
I got you.
It's like when I go to the CVS to get their prescription. They're like, birthday? I'm like, oh. I'm like, I have 4 kids. Come on, just give
Here's
me the
my phone
prescription.
number. Yeah.
But anyway, Heather was pregnant, but her thing was she didn't want to tell me because she didn't want to distract me from the playoffs. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But anyway, she didn't tell me. And then after we won the World Series, she didn't tell me. So we went to Cafe Milano, and I was like, we've been going. I think we had the parade the next day, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, we're going to go to Cafe Milano, like you guys. We're just going to go to the game and then probably go home. Yeah, right. So we go to Cafe Milano, and then everyone's going to Tiesto. And she's like, I don't want to go. I'm like, Heather, we just won the World Series. Like, Tiesto's here. Like, they're going to let us, like you guys, you go behind there.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, let's go. And she's like, no, I can't go. And I'm like, well, I'm going. So she goes home, and like 3 days later, I find out she's pregnant. I'm like,
She
oh,
still didn't
man.
tell you the World Series was over, and she still didn't tell you right then?
She was committed. But I felt, needless to say, going back on it, I felt like a complete jerk that night. Like, basically being like, come on, loser, go to the party. And she's like, can't drink, can't do anything. Probably should have noticed that she wasn't drinking, but
Yeah.
So you guys were out, quote unquote out till what time in Vegas, and then flew back here to DC afterwards the next day?
What time was our flight? Like 8:30?
I think like really early.
so you probably went right to the plane.
I didn't go to bed. I know that.
Hell yeah.
But I wasn't. My like goal. I was hoping we were gonna win here, and I was like, I want to watch the sun come up with the Lincoln Memorial. Like maybe they did it or they didn't do it or whatever. But like in Wedding Crashers when they're like after wedding season and they're all. I was like, I'd love to do that with like the cup there.
Yeah.
So anyways, we went back and went to like our player lounge in the hotel or whatever at the Mandarin, and I just sat there, and honestly I was so like happy that at that point I wasn't even really drinking anymore.
Yeah.
And I just sat there and watched the sun come up, and then me and I think it was Matt Niskanen was with me, and then our team services guy and our security guy, and a lot of guys were like, hey, we're not making the bus. So like, just don't wait for us. Just go. We'll find our own way back to DC. And at like, this must've been like 6:30. I was like, we got to get everyone up. We got to get everyone on the bus. It might've been earlier than 8:30.
Yeah, you got to take the plane.
It was early.
It was, yeah.
early.
And so then we went room to room and did like a bed check or like wake up call for everyone so that everyone could make it down.
Yeah, because the plane ride home is awesome when you land and everyone's there and you come out like.
You could have heard a mouse on our plane.
Yeah.
It was pitch black.
Yeah.
Exhausted.
And not one person was awake.
Yeah.
But then you land, and I believe your first stop after you landed was here at the ballpark, right?
That was a couple days.
Oh, that was a couple days
I
later.
think.
We came home.
Friday.
We came home on Friday, and then we had a night out in Arlington. I
Got
think.
it.
And
So the next
day we
Got
got
it.
to
Yeah.
Nats Park.
Yeah.
And then Ovi launched the first pitch over Max's head, and then wanted a do-over. And then the second one, he got there. And then you guys came up here to the Silver Slugger Suite. And I remember I came up in here during the game just to interview a couple of you guys on our TV broadcast. And right over there was a table. I was just talking to Nick before we recorded. The cup was in the middle of the table, and people were playing flip cup around the Stanley Cup in the middle of that table. And I thought that was just the coolest thing I had ever seen.
Yeah, we had a lot of games to just have fun. Honestly, by the time we got up here, I don't know, Nick, how you were feeling, but I had not got it going again, and so I was feeling pretty terrible. And I was like, we got to get something rolling. And so it was it was flip cup, and then where you got like the bowl in the middle and you play like the finger game where you have to like pull your finger off. So we played that with the cup. The cup's a very good trophy to win because there's so many things you can do with
Great drinking tool.
drinking.
The Commissioner's Trophy, not as much. There's a lot of like sharp points on it.
We broke 3 or 4 flags off of
Yeah.
ours, and MLB had to come in and fix it before they gave
So
it back.
it may have been
Funny story about the Stanley Cup. All of my pictures, you get to spend a day with it, right? So back home, I think on August 12th, all my pictures, the Stanley Cup is like bent. And I was like, hey, how come it's bent? It's like, oh, we actually came from Oshie's party before that. So
What'd you do to bend it?
I don't know if
Yeah. So I don't know.
Was it up in Minnesota?
It was in Minnesota. It was towards the end of the night, and we're on the dance floor, and we just put the cup in the center of the dance floor, and people were like dancing. We weren't like super close to it,
Yeah.
but people were like taking pictures and stuff, right? And when I heard about this, I scrubbed I texted everyone that was at the party, and I was like, send me all the videos you have. I got to figure out what happened to the cup. So I went through like hundreds of videos, and I'm like, all of them watching, cup's good, cup's good, cup's good. And then, and I also had, my hand got cut that night, and I was wearing white pants. So by the time I got home, my whole pants were bloody. And what had happened was there was a crowd kind of like down on a knee, taking pictures next to the cup. And one of my friend's sisters that was there was walking by and tried to walk by him and innocently just like bumped into it, and the cup fell over, and it just got a little dented at the top. And then obviously you got to carry it like this, because the thing is like 38 pounds.
Yeah, something like that.
And so you carry it like this, and so obviously I put the cut side in my hand. But it had been a long day. You know, you only get one day with it. So you got to
pretty damn good way to cut yourself.
Yeah, but the problem was we started doing the like cup stands, like a keg stand.
Yeah.
But then after my party, everyone that they thought it was from that, which it wasn't. But everyone after that wasn't allowed to put their hands on the cup and do a cup stand, and so they had to
find another way.
So I basically ruined it. I ruined it. Well, my guess ruined it for everyone.
Well, like the guy, like I didn't know anything about the guy that travels with it, because you guys brought it in. We were all allowed to take a picture with it, and me being an
in the
idiot,
clubhouse.
yeah, me being an idiot, I like pick it up and like put it above my head, which is a big no.
Oh no.
Yeah, like I started to do it, and like the guy was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and I was like, put it down. He's like, "Only if you win," and I was like it's really cool. Like, you can only get that picture if you win the cup, and it's an awesome tradition. But does that guy travel everywhere? Like for your party, is he there?
There's a team of them. Is there three?
But there's always someone with it.
3 or 4.
There's 3 or 4 guys, and they take turns, right? Because it's a full day, and so they almost like travel together. One guy takes like the whole day, and then they have to pack it up in the trunk every night. So you don't actually get it for 24 hours.
What
you get
a job.
it from. But yeah, even like our family, like I took a picture with my dad. And for him to hold the cup above his head, I would have to hold it. And then he'd go under it, pretending like he's holding it. And
that
then,
moment of you and your dad after you won the cup on the ice, I mean, I still remember that moment, the two of you, that hug. And that had to be just something special. And I mean, I know with you and your family, Ryan, like you win a championship, and it's not just you that's winning it. It's all the people that helped you get there. And the special memories like that have to just resonate forever.
Yeah, no, they do for sure. I honestly, looking back, I wish I wouldn't have gotten emotional on television, but it's in the heat of the moment, so many different emotions go through, and but it was a special moment with my dad, knowing that we weren't going to get too many more moments like that together. So it was important for him to be there, and he wasn't traveling well. He wasn't traveling at all at that point, and my aunt agreed that she would bring him out for Game 5, and then we were planning on bringing him to DC if we had to go to Game 6. But it was a good moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's special with every parent, I think.
Exactly.
I think for me, like my dad played. He was drafted by the Rangers actually back in the day. But like moments like that, I mean, I think he's always chirped me for not winning anything. He's like, well, I got the Swedish title 1980. I'm like, okay, well, I won 2 world championships. He's like, oh no, that doesn't count. It's not the full season. I'm like, and then when I won the Stanley Cup, I walked up and I was like, I think this is bigger than the Swedish title. He goes, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And your dad looks like he still. I mean, your dad is like fit still, and like they all came over to the house like it was like a month or 2 ago, and like. I mean, he's fun to talk. You could tell he was a stud. Yeah. Like, he's still like, I can see that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you just being like, all right, here you go.
Yeah.
I got it now.
Yeah.
But
the 3 of you guys are all in kind of a similar situation in terms of your careers. You played a long time. You had a lot of individual successes. You had some playoff failures, and then you had the ultimate success. I'm curious how the 3 of you might view your career differently, if not for that championship. Do you think that there would be a void? I'm wondering about that.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as a professional athlete, when you come into a league like we did, I think the goal, number one goal, is to win, right? That's why you got there, and that's what you have on your mind, right? So I've always dreamt about coming down Constitution, like winning a championship and celebrate with the fans. That was the only thing I was thinking of for how many years before we won? 12 years maybe. So before that, it was obviously you took it hard on yourself because it was a failure, right? So it's hard to say how we would look at our careers if we wouldn't win, but I mean, still would have probably think we were good players, right? But I mean, I think winning trumps everything, right? It doesn't matter what kind of stats you have. I mean, winning is winning.
I think it's tough because I don't think someone's career should be defined by whether they win a championship or not, because it's a team game. I mean, there's been tons of great hockey players that have never probably even played in the Stanley Cup. Mm-hmm. There's been tons of baseball players that have never played in the playoffs.
Sure.
So it's not necessarily means you are a good or a bad player. But I think all of us having won a championship, like, I'll be honest, as soon as we won, I was like, man, my life has completely changed for forever. Like, especially if you played on a team, you know, Nicky played here forever. TJ played on St. Louis before, but I mean, he was here for a long time. Yeah. So, and you know, now when you guys go around, or like, people still thank you for like that year, and like it's something that'll never be forgotten. So I think you realize, and I think we have a special kind of point of view because we failed so many times. And you get to the point where people, no one in this city is really mean. I don't want to say they're mean, but they're like, oh, they can't get past it. So
you hear it.
And kind of deserved it. But, you know, I always say it's when you don't win, people are going to say you should have won. But I think it definitely changes your career and your life for sure, especially in a city like this where winning is, I don't want to say winning is everything, but it's pretty close to everything.
I think without the Stanley Cup, I'm just thinking like in the immediate term, you know, we've all dealt with injuries and stuff. It would definitely be a lot harder to leave the game due to an injury or something like that, having not won it. I'd say when you set out, you know, even when you're a kid in the driveway or at the ball field with your boys or whatever, you dream of winning the championship, right? That's what you play for. You play for bottom of the ninth or in overtime game 7 or whatever it is. And so you kind of get to your career, you want to play college, then you want to make an NHL roster, then you want to play in playoffs, you want to win a Stanley Cup. And so to get that championship, it almost kind of like Ryan was saying, it almost like checks that box for you that you accomplished something that you set out to do. You know, so it'd feel still be obviously proud of my career if we hadn't won, but to be on that 2018 team and to pull through the way we did by, you know, coming from behind in round 1, beating Pittsburgh in round 2, who was going for their 3rd in a row and had beat us in the 2nd round 2 years previous. It was super, super special. So, yeah, it's nice to tell the kids and the grandkids that you were a champion at one point.
I asked a similar question to Sean Doolittle. I always love asking guys that have accomplished great things at the height of the game. Like, what one moment, outside of winning the championship, like, is there one hit, one pass, one goal that you think rises above the rest in your mind?
Well, I mean, obviously the first NHL game was pretty special, even though we played in Atlanta, which is probably not a hockey town. And they moved on after that. But one moment that I'm never going to forget, other than the first game, is probably Game 5 in Vegas, Stanley Cup playoffs. Probably my pass to Ovi there when he tied up the game. I'm never going to forget that. And it's pretty special pass.
Yeah,
for me, so that's probably one moment that I had.
Man,
it's tough to
it's
tough
to break it down.
So many.
Break it down to one. I think if it was, you know, just hockey wise, would have been game 4. I don't know if it really breaks down to one play, or maybe it does. I don't know. But in game 4, I had probably one of my best games of the playoffs, and scored right off the hop, and then I ended up getting into a little bit of a match with one of their defensemen, and I had ran him over, I reverse shoulder him it was in the third period maybe, and I think it was to go up 3 goals maybe.
I actually remember that.
I dropped past it to Nick,
Yeah.
and as I dropped past it, little sneaky on my part, but I also hit the guy that was on me, and he, my helmet rebounded into his face. I think, he was bleeding out of his nose and stuff, and so he grabs his face, and then Nick walks in, like he's done 1,000 times before, and kind of just waits out the goalie, waits out the defender, and then slides the puck over to was it Kempney maybe?
Kempney, yeah.
Kempney for an empty net goal. And then that kind of that really sealed game 4, and the momentum was just on our side for game 5, and we were pretty confident going into that one. But that's probably the one. It's more so the whole game for me. For whatever reason, I was feeling at that game, but that was a fun one to feel involved and help the team out in a big moment.
What does it feel like to fight someone in front of Nicky? You
I
probably
don't know.
Do you have any in your career?
I've got into a couple of scrums, but
Yeah,
TJ is probably
because
the
for
guy.
me, and I've said this to my buddies, because I think the baseball fights are the dumbest thing of all time. Like,
The guy's running in from the
well, first of
bullpen.
all, someone gets hit, and then they talk trash, and then they wait until the catcher grabs them, and then they act like they're going to go out there and fight them. There's been a couple good ones where people just go, but
Sure.
I've always said we should just do what you guys do. And if someone hits them, you have to look out at the pitcher and be like, hey, do you want to go? Or the pitcher has to be like, hey, do you want to go? And if either of you says no, which I don't know if this is, you guys can clarify how it happens in hockey, then it doesn't happen, and then you know who. I'm trying to think of a better word than the word I want to say. Who wussed out.
Well done.
But now, the baseball fights, like, you're almost more worried about not getting hit in the back of the head or not, like, because there's 35 grown men in like a 15-foot radius. That's not where you want to be.
Yeah.
And there's no rules. Like, you guys have some rules, but like, imagine if someone gets hit and acts like they're going to charge them, like, in order to do it, and then you just go until someone falls, and then the umpire comes in
when someone gets in a bad spot.
Nobody would fight
No.
ever in baseball because
Bryce
it's all
is really the only
garbage.
one. Bryce wanted to go get Hunter Strickland, and he went and got him.
Yeah, and then I still get made fun of to this day because I went and grabbed them, and like there's like the Titanic photos, and they're like, why weren't you out there? It's like, because there's 35 dudes. Like, I'm a grown up with kids and stuff. I'm not gonna get drilled in the back of the head because someone drilled someone for a home run that was hit 2 years ago. Like, I'm out of here on that. But like, so like, is it really true in hockey? Like, if you like. Because you see it all the time. Like, do you have to like almost agree to fight, or does it just happen, or is it always like you have like both parties have to want to do it?
It's almost always an agreement. So a guy can basically say someone hits Nick or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm close to the play, and so I go and grab the guy. If I go and grab the guy and drop my gloves, if that guy is comfortable fighting, typically. He didn't say yes to it, but he's like, fine, we'll go. And when you square up and stuff, a lot of times, like, I'm not a fighter, and I've fought, I don't know, 8 times maybe, seven, and 0 of them. But usually you'll ask them, and they'll be like, all right, A lot of times it's more of, and it doesn't happen very often anymore because the game's getting more skilled. When me and Nick first came into the game, there was, 3 or 4 guys that could,
like Brashear,
real
and,
they were real fighters.
Yeah.
They were, at least one of them was only on
better
the team
fighter than a hockey
because
player?
they could fight.
He was actually my first lineman,
Yeah.
Don Brashear and Matt Bradley, and they were big fighters.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
if those
So I
guys
was-
fought now, like, they
Yeah.
would kill people.
Yeah.
So like the game's changed, but like an example is in my I think it might have been my first playoffs in DC here. I think it's game. I don't know what game it is, but it's the end of the game. There's like 30 seconds left. The whistle blows by their goalie covers it. The whistle blows. Kuzi's standing there, and one of the players on their team went down. I've never even seen anyone do it in my life. Went down to his knee and cross-checked the outside of his knee, almost like he was trying to blow his knee out. And that was, I mean, obviously like offsides. Like you don't do stuff like that. Yeah. And so, as fate would have it, I knew I was starting the next game at home, and hoping that he was going to start on their side. And so after warm-ups before the game, I'd tape both my wrists, which a lot of guys do anyways, but fighters like really do it, because they want to break their wrists. And so I taped both my wrists, and I remember our head coach, Barry Trotz, coming in, and he was coming in to grab like cough drops or whatever the coaches have on the bench. And he saw me tape my wrist, and he like looked at me, and he like smirked and like walked away. And sure enough, he was a left winger, I was a right winger. We line up at the opening face-off. I look over to him like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing? Like, why would you do that to Kuzi?" He's like, "That's my bad. I shouldn't have done that." I was like, "All right, well, we got to fight now." and he goes, "All right, you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's tougher than me, but you just have to do that stuff." And so he's like, literally, we were talking about it, and he's like, "Let the face-off go for like 5 seconds, then we'll meet back here." And I was like, "All right, here we go." And like I said, I'm not a tough guy. I've gotten beat up almost every time I've ever fought, but that was one of the ones where it was like, "Hey, let's square up, let's do this." And it's almost better because we kind of are able to police ourselves. And now knows that like if he's going to try to do something cheap like that,
somebody's going to
and deliberately hurt someone, then it should have been Tom probably Wilson going to fight him, because then it would have hurt. Well, I just tried to throw haymakers and didn't land one of them, but the message was sent. And so I don't know, maybe that's why there's more suspensions now and more people taking advantage of people now, because there's less of those fighters who maybe they're not the prettiest on the ice and don't score a lot of goals.
They serve a purpose.
But they serve a purpose and keep the integrity in the game.
I love how cordial it is, though, the setting up to the fight. Like, "Hey, man, how you doing? You want to go?"
He was so much more. I was like shaking.
I was going to say.
And he was like, "Oh, really? You sure?" And I was like, "I'm like, yeah, let's go."
I got my wrist. I'm ready.
Like your adrenaline, like I can't imagine doing that. So like, does your adrenaline get more doing that, or if you have like a 5-foot putt to beat Nick on the last green?
I mean, more of that.
Yeah.
more of the fight.
I mean, doing that in front of 20,000 people.
Yeah.
Like when I watch, or I don't watch a lot, but I've been to like a couple of UFC fights. Like I can't imagine walking into the UFC ring in front of like to basically like go try and not kill somebody, but like that's like old school like Roman Empire stuff.
I think the fear is like that you're going to get knocked out on national television. That's kind of
embarrassment.
The thing that I don't love about it. But
physically, I'll be okay. But
I will say,
will I be okay?
I will say, like I said, in the few times I fought, once you get hit in the face once, your face kind of goes numb, and you're like, "Oh,
you're okay."
I didn't even feel that. This is great. Yeah. But I look like an orangutan for the next 4 or 5 days. So that's what Mike Tyson, half my face.
Mike Tyson, everyone has got a plan until they get punched in the face. That's what a different sport.
Yeah.
And if you think about the fighters back in the day, I mean, Donald Brashear, we talked about him earlier. Like, he would practice with no shoulder pads. He would come in. He would do boxing in the gym. Like, that's what he did.
Yeah.
And on skates as well.
Wild.
Yeah. Those guys are
tough guys.
So anyway, we should do those rules for baseball, and then that stuff would stop.
Talk to Commissioner Manfred about that.
The ratings would for sure go up.
Oh, no doubt.
There you go.
It'd be great for the game.
Yeah.
No, I'll see what I can do.
Okay.
I'll bring you guys in to the commissioner's office and see if we can work something out.
All right. You want to talk about Ovi a little bit? We got to talk about Ovi.
Yeah, we can talk about it. I mean, both of you guys played with him for a while. Figure, at least, I mean, what was it like to play with someone like that? I mean, I know you guys I've talked to you guys about him a lot, so there's so many stories about Ovi, but I think the people in this city obviously love him. I think the loyalty, and we both talked about, like, it's amazing how healthy he has stayed. To score that many goals obviously is unbelievable, but before he had the broken leg this year, we were talking at the bus stop the other day about like he had only missed, I think you know the number or whatever it was, but is it respected? Obviously the type of player he was, but just the fact that he kind of went out there all the time, even if he wasn't feeling that good, and even if he wasn't maybe in great shape or he was banged up, like, do people respect him more for that or the goal? Obviously for both, but like, I guess tell people like what kind of person and player he's thought of, because I don't think a lot of people realize that he plays every game. So maybe just shine a little, because I appreciate that almost the most out of him. Just his, first of all, his loyalty and staying here. He could have, it's not like he got bad deals here, but he's probably the biggest superstar in the league over the last 15 years. Him and you could say Crosby, but I think Ovi has more star power.
Yeah, I mean, he's first of all he's a machine.
Yeah.
And I think something that people don't realize when he broke the record now is he's 39 years old. He the last 2 seasons he scored 40 goals. If you look at Gretzky, like the last couple of years he only had, I don't know,
A handful.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that's more impressive that he scored 40 goals the last 2 seasons. And he's half of last season, he had maybe 8 goals. And he finished the season with 40-something goals, which is
ridiculous.
That's him.
Yeah.
That's what he does. He's just amazing. So,
and we've talked about before, his shot is different, or his, like, it's just something different about his shot, right? Like the way he comes off his stick, the way it curves off his stick. I mean, I stopped plenty of his shots when I played goalie that day, so it wasn't really but when I watch on TV, some other people have trouble with it, but I was okay with it.
glove, very good. Blocker side, not so much.
Not so good. That's the scouting report. Go to the right side.
His curve is different, I think, than probably anyone in the league, I'd say. I think curves are getting a little bigger these days, but the crazy thing for me is we're in similar positions from like where Nick would be on the half wall on a power play. And, my window for where I can get like a perfect shot off and, be a goal a good amount of the times is very small. Luckily, I had someone like Nick that
put it where you needed it.
Put it exactly where I wanted it. But Ovi, it feels like he can, even if the puck's rolling, which if the puck was rolling, I don't even know if I could get it to the net. I would like go right underneath it, duff it. It'd be terrible. Or it'd go shoot straight up out of play. But he somehow, I don't know how, but like he can just get a shot off of like anything. Yeah. And not only shot off, but it's like hard. It almost like comes off his blade like away from his body and then curves back in. I've never seen anyone that can score goals. So I don't know if there'll ever be anyone that can score how he scores.
Crazy.
I don't think you guys would know better, but it seems like a record that is like really.
It's so much harder to score now than it was when Gretzky was playing.
I think it depends. If you look ahead, so you look ahead like 15 years, like we don't know what the rules are going to be back then. If they're going to make goalies pads smaller, if whatever it is, the game's obviously getting more skilled. But to get that many goals means you have to play a long time and not miss a lot and not have injuries, like you were saying. Yeah. The fact that I made a joke the other day when someone mentioned he had missed 52 games in his career or something like that. And I was like, I might have missed 52 games last season. So like that's unbelievable. I'm probably up in like the 300s for games missed, and I played less than he has. So it's that durability. And to find a goal scorer and you can marry him. I mean, also Ovi's third in the history of the league in hits.
Yeah.
So you combine all those together. It just doesn't make sense.
20 seasons of 40 goals doesn't even get you there.
Yeah.
It's like it's like the home run record for us. Like 700 something home runs is a joke.
Yeah.
Like if you hit 30 homers, that's a great year.
Right.
Like 30 homers for 20 years doesn't even get you close.
Yeah.
So I think that's what people need to realize is like the consistency of domination.
Yeah.
Like
he loves scoring goals too. Like, does anyone on this earth love anything as much as Ovi loves scoring goals?
It's crazy. like me and TJ always talks about it too. I mean, yes, he was probably skating a little bit better 15 years ago, but he's just got that touch, the puck just comes to him. And I've asked a lot of, because I was like, he scores a lot from his office, right, from the left side there. And I asked a couple of goalies, I was like, hey, what's so hard with Ovi's shot and Hank Lundqvist and Rangers? He's like, well, I know he's there, but his shots are so tough to read because he can come here, 5-hole. Like, he can score everywhere, which is amazing.
For you assisted on 279 of his goals in his career.
Good.
Yeah, a little research for you.
Research.
Yeah. Data guy.
You, Ryan and I were talking after Ovi broke the record, and you were there in the dressing room. You both were. You were along for the ride down the stretch. And there was a shot of you going up to Ovi and giving him a big hug. And it wasn't just, I said this to Ryan, it wasn't just like a, hey man, congrats, happy for you kind of hug. It was like a truly emotional moment between you two. What was in that hug or that experience for you and TJ for you as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it was more like I was happy for him, and to be playing with him for this many years, I'm thankful for actually be able to play with him for that many years, and so it's more like, and I know he was kind of relieved after that when it happened too, because a lot of people talked about it, and you could just tell, and when you saw him, he was more like oh, finally this is over, like I got it.
Yeah.
So, but the most emotional I got when I saw his wife up there in the suite, that was, and his kids, because I know it means a lot. He's a family guy.
Yeah.
So that was very cool.
Yeah, I mean, when you do something for that long, I think, like he said, the family, and you get to know their family, and like, we sacrifice a lot of time with our family, and the wives, they wear it a lot, and like I feel like sometimes you almost get more emotional, like you said, for them.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about our parents earlier, like when we won, like it's almost like our dad, or you think of the people that helped get you there, and like when you stop playing, like we have now, and you get kind of thrown into the fire, you sort of realize like what your wives and stuff have been doing. So like it's funny to hear him say like, for his wife and his kids are so fun to watch. Like, his kids know what's going on. I mean, it's cool that they're that age that they can realize like, hey, my dad's like the best of all time. Like, my boys don't. I mean, they knew I played baseball, but like today, if we go hit on the field, or they're like, oh, sweet, like. Why are we here? Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. Or like, Mackenzie and Hayden know, and still we'll be at softball and they'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. And like the coach is like, actually, you kind of know what you're talking about. But like, it's so cool for him. And like, I think that's why we get emotional for that, because we've all been through the ride. And especially for someone like Ovi, who's done it for as long as he has, like, hopefully I think people respect the wives and what they put in as well. But pretty cool ride.
Want to wrap up with some rapid fires?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Last part of every interview that we do with guys, we call them 5 walk-off questions from Mr. Walk-Off.
All right.
So they're quick. They don't have to be thought out. We kind of do a couple. I'll start. Favorite DC restaurant? We'll start with Nick first. We'll switch off. So that.
All right, you know the answer to that one.
I think I know.
Cafe Milano.
Yeah.
I don't think it wasn't born here, the DC restaurant, but I'm a big fan of Joe's Stone Crab.
Can't go wrong.
Steak, yeah.
Can't
I'm
go
a big
wrong.
crab guy, so.
All right, we'll go TJ first here. Favorite athlete growing up?
Actually, so I grew up originally in Seattle. Not a lot of hockey there when I was growing up. And so my favorite athlete growing up was Ken Griffey Jr.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
I went to a lot of games. I went to the last game in the Kingdome before they tore it down. It was a good ride in Seattle with that squad.
when we saw him at the Masters, when we went down there, he was there taking pictures. I don't know if you see, he was
see
taking
that.
pictures for it. There's been a bunch of stuff on it. And like, I've gotten to know him a little bit through the years, but still when you see him and then like that smile,
Yeah.
like it's still infectious.
Yeah.
Like I still think to this day he's the coolest athlete of all time.
I think if I could get a picture with him and Jay Buhner, it would be like that'd be my top 5 of the
Childhood
history of the
TJ,
world.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those teams were so good
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. They were good.
What do you got?
Peter Forsberg.
Peter Forsberg.
Yeah. That was
Decent
my-
player.
Yeah, that was my favorite. Unluckily he got a lot of injuries, but when he was at his best, he was probably top 3 players. I mean, if you ask me, of all time.
Were you always hockey?
Yes, I was always hockey.
Okay.
Big hockey guy.
Best golf course ever played?
Best golf course I've ever
It's a
played.
tough one.
Tough one, but I mean, I'll pick one in U.S. and one in Europe. Then I'll do
Yeah.
Little humble brag.
I'll do Pine Valley in U.S. Pretty cool place.
Yeah.
And then I gotta say King's Barnes in Scotland. It's very cool.
Haven't been across the pond to play yet. That's
No.
on the short list of
Very
Trips.
very cool experience. I
My
mean,
low
the
ball
his-
flight.
The history, yeah.
we'll do well there.
It's perfect for you. Perfect for your golf game.
That's a tough one. I haven't played a lot of the really, really nice ones. My first ever like real golf trip was at Whistling Straits, and so I'll go with the Straits course.
That course combined with like a good golf trip,
Oh yeah,
it's
it
tough
was-
to beat.
it
That
was
place
great.
is unbelievable.
I had a solid crew too. It was great.
All right, favorite, funniest teammate of all time?
I mean,
We'll go funny. Yeah, funniest is probably
Yeah.
better than favorite.
it's hard to top Ovi. I mean, everything he does is. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about it at every dinner.
Just
But-
because it's so ridiculous and it always just happens.
Well, it's just he's just a character,
yeah,
just a big kid, and
just loves it, right?
I mean, you got the Russian accent on top of it, and so, Nick was even sent to our group chat the picture of
Yeah.
his text English is amazing.
I mean, he's been here 20 years.
I was just going to say that. I didn't want to say something offensive, but
It's just so
he's
funny.
been here a long
it's the
time.
same text that I got from him the first year.
Yeah. So the most laughs I think I've gotten, throughout my career is probably Ovi.
I mean, you said over, so I got to pick someone else then. I'm gonna say Jason Chimera.
Oh yeah.
Jimmy.
He was a character.
Yeah.
I mean, he came in. He was the first one there every morning, 8:00. You would think he had 10 Red Bulls before he got there. He was just jumping up and down like he was a funny guy. Like he's hilarious.
That's a great pull.
Yeah.
He's up there.
He was wasn't he enormous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He gets. I mean, he sounded like he was breaking the ice when he would skate.
Yeah.
He could fly, like not like the kids that fly today, where they're like
Yeah.
all nice
Powerful.
and like figure skating type. He
Yeah.
was like,
Power. Yeah.
And,
it's
like-
funny.
it was great when he'd wheel up and come by the bench because it was like,
Yeah.
like almost like feel like the wind when he'd skate by.
Yeah.
But hilarious human being.
All right, last one. Go-to karaoke song.
I don't think there's a good one for me.
We are the champions.
honest,
We
we're
are
the
the
champions.
champions.
We are the champions.
There
yeah.
you go.
Thank you for making it
Yeah,
easy.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
That's a good
We
one.
need to get you at the Annandale karaoke bars.
I don't think you want to hear that. To be honest with
No,
you,
I
but-
want to hear it. We'll get you out there. What do you got? Anything?
Well, if I had to sing like by myself and no one else is allowed to join,
Yeah.
it would be some Luke Combs song. Beer
Yep.
Never Broke My Heart or something that
That's a
gets the
good
crowd
one.
going.
Yep.
But one of the only times I've ever done karaoke, it was on a golf trip at Pinehurst, and everyone had to sing one song. That was a rule for the. Luckily, there was only like 4 people in the bar.
Yeah.
But I was going up last, and people started like trickling in a little bit, and I was like, I need to pick a song that like everyone's just gonna sing, and then you can't even hear me.
Yeah.
And so it was Country Roads, and that ended up being why
That was your goal
That was
song,
my
right?
goal song. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the story why.
That's the story why.
Wow.
That's how I got
Breaking
it.
news
Just
here on the
breaking-
11th inning.
Look at us. We're like deep diving,
Yeah.
hard hitting
Let's go.
journalism around here.
Let's go.
Well, thanks for coming, boys. Obviously we've become good friends, and I think, when me and Dan started talking about doing this and getting you guys on, we were super pumped for this one. And I know a lot of the people that listen and watch and this whole city obviously love you guys and respect what you did. So thanks for coming on and giving them some insight to some of our off the rink and off the field stuff. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, boys.
Yeah.
This was great.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Nicklas Bäckström, TJ Oshie, you're joining us on the 11th Inning Podcast. Great conversation with those guys. Stay with us. More 11th Inning next. Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast. We call it the 11th Inning Podcast, Ryan, because you're number 11. But also, like the 11th inning, it doesn't come around all that often, but when it does, it's pretty sweet.
I did not like games that went 11 innings. Hopefully I was double switched out by then.
Back when the double switch was a thing.
Yeah, back when there
the good
was
old
the
days.
Ds, yeah.
All right, good stuff with Nicklas and TJ. That was a lot of fun. Let's get now to our mailbag, which we love doing. Please keep those questions coming. 11th.inning@nationals.com, 11th.inning@nationals.com. Send in your questions to Ryan or to me if you have something to ask the idiot broadcaster. Let's get to question number 1 from Susan Leffler. We also got a question about this from someone else, Ryan, and I love this one. I love questions that allow you, maybe allow me, to pull back the curtain on the Nationals experience, the baseball experience, what it's like to live this life. Yeah. Susan says she's interested in knowing perspective from players and folks with this behind-the-scenes knowledge. In that vein, she'd love to hear more about the logistics around moving, outfitting, and managing the equipment for the team. It's an area I've often wondered about and feel it's overlooked.
Well, I think the biggest difference in our sport is we literally play almost every day. So football obviously has a lot of bodies and a lot of things to move, but it's, they're flying out Saturday, I think, for a Sunday and coming home Sunday night. Hockey, basketball are a little bit more, but not as hectic as we are. I mean, we're every day. I mean, they just got back from a road trip where they were gone for 11 days and, you're one city for 3, one city for 3, one city for 4, whatever it is. So, and we also take everything. I mean, we pack up our bag with, bats, gloves, whatever we need. Obviously, the stuff you wear underneath your uniform, your road pants, your jerseys, they bring the jerseys and the hats. But then also everything to like some of the medical equipment that's in our training room here, we bring with us in trunks. They put all the machines into like special trunks that are made for that machine. They wheel those onto a truck and take it to the plane, and they go under the plane, and then they go to the visiting clubhouse of whatever field we're going to. So it's quite the undertaking. I think we travel with 60, 65 people maybe. I mean, that's team, coach, medical staff.
PR.
They let media on the plane for some reason. They drink all the beer. They drink all the beers, and like I even saw them putting beers in their backpacks.
That was not me.
Yeah,
I've never.
Sure, it wasn't. PR. So we travel. It's a big traveling party. I would say that's where the clubhouse staff does not get enough credit.
Yes.
The Mike Wallaces, the Kenny Diaz's, Dan Wallen, Andrew Melnick. I mean, these
Carlos
guys,
Felix, House.
Those guys, not all of them go on the road,
right?
But they're packing everything when we leave, and then even worse, they're here when we come home. So if we get home, 1, 2 in the morning back to the stadium, they're unloading the buses, unloading the equipment, and getting everything put back into our lockers and the medical room because guess what? We got a game tomorrow. So
laundering all the uniforms.
Yeah, laundry. I mean, because when we leave on a travel day from the visiting clubhouse, they don't launder the clothes there. We put it in dirty clothes. They bring it here, and then they clean it when they get home. So, I mean, the sheer amount of games that we play makes our traveling circus, I think, a little bit different than everyone else. I think the biggest thing that I've noticed since I stopped playing is, the ability to have a schedule at home. Eat dinner around 6 o'clock, put the kids to bed. I'm either, watching a TV show, reading a book, doing something by 9 o'clock and usually asleep by 10:30. A lot of times when we're traveling, the game's not over till 10:30 or 11. I mean, how about the trip you guys were just on? The Denver trip with the snow out.
Yep.
And then the doubleheader. I mean, you can tell them when you guys got home on Monday morning.
Yeah, so doubleheader needed to be scheduled for getaway day, which is never ideal, and the Rockies wanted it to be a split doubleheader as compared to, quick turnaround in between the two games. They wanted the separate gate. So the second game was at 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Yep.
So we didn't get on the plane till close to midnight, and then we had to land at Dulles. We always fly into and out of Dulles, drive back to Nats Park. I wasn't in my bed until after 5, almost 5:30 in the morning. And luckily there was a day off Monday, but this is the type of stuff that adds up over the course of a long season. And, it's a very glamorous life, and nobody is complaining about the schedule. You know what you sign up for, but these are the things that happen over the course of a season, and it makes things challenging to navigate.
Well, I think too, like even if you sleep on the plane, you're going to get home at 6 a.m. It's really hard to go to sleep at 6 a.m.
I didn't sleep on the plane, and I didn't sleep.
So it's almost like a vacation where they tell you, even if you land early in the morning, you got to just grind it out that day so you can get back on the right time.
Yep.
So a lot of those guys probably didn't sleep much. They have an off day, like you said, but the next day you almost feel worse than the day that you get home.
And I said this on our broadcast when we were calling the game, the first game of that Orioles series. Kudos to the Nats, who came out that first game of the homestand on Tuesday and showed up in all facets of the game and won 7-0. That I think should not go overlooked after all of that travel stuff. So those are the things that you deal with. And it's a great question from Susan and from someone else. I'm sorry I don't have the other fan that submitted a very similar question, but huge thanks to all of the behind the scenes staff, the Melnicks, everybody that's down there working so hard to make sure that everybody can get ready for another game when it's time.
For sure.
All right, let's get to one from Stephen in Fairfax, who says, I always heard Zim is from Sandbridge in Virginia Beach. Would love to hear him talk about growing up at the beach and how he got into baseball instead of surfing or just being a beach bum. Also, his favorite spots in Sandbridge, like for food, if and when he goes back. Love the show. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, so I grew up in Virginia Beach. I was born in Washington, North Carolina. My parents actually owned a fitness center there.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom was like jazzercise and all that good stuff.
Wow. Did that carry over to you?
Yeah.
You big into jazzercise?
I have the high socks and the leotards at home. But they sold that actually, and we moved to Virginia Beach, I think when I was like 5, somewhere around there, because my mom got a teaching job. She was a special ed K through 5 teacher, and she had an opportunity to get a job there. They were done with the fitness center thing, so we moved to a place called Kempsville in Virginia Beach for 1 year, and then my parents bought a house in Sandbridge a year later. This was, probably 25 years ago now, I guess. They've lived there for over 20 years, so Sandbridge then is a lot different than Sandbridge now. But, me and my brother, we loved growing up there. I mean, if you've never been, I'd say it's comparable to the Outer Banks, but a little bit even less developed. There's no like city centers. There's no, there's a restaurant at the beginning, a restaurant at the end, 2 little condo areas, no hotels. And all the houses are, it's like the rental house sort of thing. So I think when, me and my brother were growing up, from May 1st to September 1st, it was slammed and busy. And then for the rest of the year, I think 13% of people live there year round.
Wow.
So it was an interesting way to live, but I loved it. And I definitely did surf. I don't know if I was a beach bum per se, but I grew up surfing. I grew up wakeboarding. I grew up doing a lot of those water sports, which I think made me a better athlete.
Yeah, probably.
But baseball there, I mean, I think much has been said about the Tidewater, drillers, the Hampton Roads area, the Tidewater Mets travel team I played on with D. Wright and Mark Reynolds and BJ Upton and Justin Upton and all these people. So the baseball has been talked about there, but I loved growing up there. It's a fun place to grow up. My parents still live there. I have a ton of friends. Some of my best friends still live down there, and Heather actually has some good friends there because a bunch of people from Virginia Beach go to Radford where she went to school. Yeah. So we go back 2 or 3 times, usually in the summer. We'll usually go back for Thanksgiving, and our friends' kids now play with our kids. So it's fun to go back, but a special place for me, and far enough away where my parents live far enough away, but close enough to go visit them. So love you, Mom and Dad. Just kidding. But no, Sandbridge's a special place, and the Baja is a good place to go when I go back there.
There you go. Shout out Baja. All right, let's end this episode the way that we ended our previous episode, Ryan, with a conversation about me not eating fruit. This is an email from Carolyn Plank. It's a long email. I really appreciate all of it. I cannot read all of it. We are a little crunched for time, but I will say, Carolyn says, she just finished episode 3 and could not believe my ears hearing that Dan Kolko does not eat fruit because I too have this same affliction. Possibly worse because I will not eat the candy or drink the flavored water. I will occasionally blah, 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 have a pina colada. Much like Dan, I quickly figured out in childhood that it is weird and gross and shameful to not eat fruit. So now that I've reached adulthood, the only people in my life who know about this are me and my husband and my very small family. Just last week, I revealed to my therapist that I don't eat fruit after 8 years of seeing her. Anyway, I really appreciated Dan being open and talking about this and want him to know that there are apparently dozens of us. And she goes on to say that I am very brave and that I should not be forced to eat fruit. Carolyn, if I choose to eat fruit, it will be a choice. It will not be Ryan or anyone else pressuring me into doing it, or my wife. But I'm not alone. I have met other people like me that don't eat fruit.
If there's one thing I've learned is that you are so courageous. You're so brave and courageous.
Strong.
I think maybe we should have like a people who don't eat fruit night at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Just to bring everyone
get the marketing
together.
department on this.
You know, it's okay. It's good, guys. Let's teach these people not to eat proper nutrition. You know, grow up, Dan. Grow up.
Is this the version, the baseball equivalent of like participation trophies to youth leagues? Like people that don't eat fruit should be told that they're healthy and normal too?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you said you crushed vegetables, so I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Fruit does have a lot of sugar, although it's natural sugar. But I guess we'll let it slide for you guys. And I'm not here to shame anybody and their habits. This is a family-friendly show, so we'll let all you guys, all you no fruit people, get by.
All right, we appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone for watching, listening. The 11th Inning Podcast. We've had so much fun through our first 4 episodes. Keep listening wherever you get your podcasts. If you listen via Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. Watch us on the Nationals YouTube channel and get the video product there as well. Thanks to Olivia Taylor for shooting and editing. Thanks to our producer, Nate Baker, who does a fantastic job. And thanks to our executive producer, Wendy Bailey. We've got a great staff helping us put out all these episodes. And Ryan, thanks to you as well. Another fun episode, man.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone for sending in emails. I feel like we're getting more each week, which is awesome. We love reading them. It makes our show better. This is the point of the show. You guys to ask questions like that. So keep them coming, and we look forward to answering more on the next one.
And maybe the streak ends with 2 straight episodes of Dan having to talk about how he doesn't eat fruit. We'll see. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks on the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim.